Hey there, Afton. Thanks for opting in to the video critique. I'm just going to quickly glance over your design and then give you some ideas for improvement. Okay. One of the things I'm noticing, just big picture, is you have a lot of writing. You have your columns are looking good, but there is quite a lot of text on the page. As opposed to there being lots of visual elements, lots of large, compelling pictures. Your title is big, which is good for that rule of contrast, but we want to push that even a little bit more. Okay, so I want you to think about um, the kind of hierarchy of things that you want to look at in a magazine spread. First, you want the photos to pop off the page because that's what's going to compel people to read the article. Second, you want the title to catch their eye, to be interesting. And then third, subheadings and the actual written content. All right. So with that in mind, your images are pretty small. I would probably recommend taking this image and making it at least 2 times as big. If we do that, we're going to probably have a full bleed image. So you could take this image, you could put it down on maybe the bottom third of the page, have it go all the way off the edges. That's going to instantly make your magazine spread look more contemporary and visually kind of interesting. Okay, and then your heading, you're off to a good start. It is centered. I'd prefer if you play around with something different, see if you can challenge yourself. Maybe right align it and then tuck by Ronald A. Rasband under Do Not Fear or something so it's right aligned there too. You could even play around with some different colors for this title. You could have Be of Good Cheer, in like maroon or there's not really a color scheme to your spread. All I see is blue, and then I think this is like a cream. So maybe, yeah, you can play around with this blue. Maybe you pull the maroon out of her shirt, something like that. Maybe you have a strong black element or something. Okay, so I'd like to see a little bit more cohesive color scheme that's going to help you have everything feel like it ties together. So let's say you have this really large image down here now, and then you have Be of Good Cheer and Do Not Fear. Then perhaps you have paragraph worth of written content here, a paragraph worth of written content to the side of it, which will be about how much space you'll have. It's going to let you have some cool white space up top to help balance the other visual elements on the page. Then you'll come down here. Watch for things like this with formatting. I would go through and remove the footnotes. See how there's this big 10. Just delete that because it's going to look awkward. So watch things like you have a full amount of space between these lines, but then down here is a subheading, but it does not have spacing. So watch that. You want to make sure that this is all very consistent. Your pull quotes never want to be in line with the body copy. The whole point of the pull quote is it's going to take you out of just reading or theoretically you're going to actually look at it before you even start reading. So it doesn't make sense to have it in line. You want to do something where if you want it in a square, you want it in a shape like this, make the square big, make it go off the edge of the page, make the writing 2 or 3 times as large as the rest of the written content in a contrasting typeface, okay? So, and I think you do have it on contrast. Yeah, you do have it on a contrasting typeface, so that's good. But make it bigger, make it bolder, make it something that's really compelling that's going to draw your eye in. Also, I would recommend removing this black stroke. Anytime you have a shape and you have a black stroke on it, it's instantly going to read like 1980s newsletter. Okay, so take any black strokes off of any shape that you're ever working with. I would make this image much larger too. This image could be half of your page. It could really be compelling and interesting. And then you're going to do a text wrap around it. It's going to create a really cool shape around the edge of this circle that is going to make people more interested in reading it. Now you have to watch that your columns aren't all going to turn into 1 or 2 words. That's the problem you're having right here. Like Our Mortal Lives is having to be hyphenated because there's not enough room. Usually the rule is you don't want to have a column that it consists of 1 to 2 words. It needs to have more than that. So that might actually work out to your advantage if you make the circle a lot bigger, but it's going to stop right here. That'll still allow you to have a few words, at least maybe 3 or 4, before you get to the edge of this column here. All right, so play around with that. Lots bigger images, pull quotes, like screaming what they're saying as opposed to just kind of mentioning it in the column. I would recommend interjecting some more white space too. Watch your margin, see how close the edge of this column is to the middle margin. That's too close, okay? You want a little bit more room there. I would probably say generally it's a good rule when you have a copy, when you have a magazine spread with this much writing on it, take away 3 or 4 of these paragraphs. Reformat your columns a little bit. So you pull this in so there's a nice margin. Maybe you add some white space at the bottom. Maybe you add some white space down here. Make your images larger. Make your pull quotes much more compelling. Maybe you have a circle. There's the circle image here. Maybe there's a circle image here with your pull quote or something. Okay. Then maybe make these subheadings a contrasting color. If you do all those things, that's really going to take this to the next level. It's going to help it feel more like it's, right where it could be published. I will say from a personal perspective, I am not a huge fan of this typeface. Okay, it looks a little bit too amateur compared to the rest of your typography. This is a really playful, children-oriented typeface, but then the rest of it is more mature. And so it supports your message. I can see why you selected it, but I think it'd be better to try something different. And if you have something different, maybe still a fun script, but then you could use it here. So let me show you maybe something along the lines of the direction that I would go, just to provide you with an idea. If you wanted to keep a sans serif, something like this would be kind of fun. But if you wanted to go with a script, oops, no, script, here they are. Okay, let's see. Something like this would be really cool. See how this is still playful and interesting, but it's more mature. And something like this looks contemporary, still youthful. Okay, so, or something like this, even nice. It's kind of simple, but it's still interesting to look at. Okay, so doing that might really help take this to the next level. If you have a cool script for these subheadings in like a really bold color to kind of go along with that blue, doing something similar with your subtitles, it's really going to pull it all together. All right, I've given you a lot of ideas. You obviously don't have to do all of them, but if you start moving in that direction, it's going to instantly make your magazine spread feel much more modern and start looking like something that is going to be more near the publishable level. All right, so hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, you can send me an email. If you want me to take a quick glance at your next draft, I would be willing to do that by email as well. All right, have a good day, Afton. Thanks. Bye.